YouTube, Facebook, and Tumblr fans, it's time to kick off another request. This one was requested by Adam A, and it is Whitesnake's self-titled 1987 album. So, to get started, this is their most critically acclaimed album, and it features songs such as Crying in the Rain, Here I Go Again, and Still the Night. So, those are some of my favorite songs overall, just in, hard rock in general. So, already, this album is coming off strong. This was actually a turning point album for the band. A lot of people thought that this band actually sold out because all of their albums leading up to this had been more bluesy, a little bit more guitar-driven instead of the dynamic synthesizers and violins and keyboards and all that stuff thrown in there. So basically, I like to think of this as their Black Album. So, a lot of people like it, but then there are a lot of people who don't as well. So, that being said, for me, it's an awesome album, as I've said before. So, it actually holds a lot of nostalgia for me. So I'm going to preface this review by saying I'm not the hugest Whitesnake fan. I mean, I like his voice, I like the music, but I just haven't really listened to that much of it. So I'm going to have to check out this band to a little bit greater extent one of these days. I haven't done that yet. I've still got a lot of stuff I need to check out. So that being said, I'm going to pretty much go through this album, name the highlights, and basically how I feel about it and why I think it's one of the greater heavy metal or hard rock, albums of the 1980s. So, like I said, it holds a little bit of nostalgia for me because when I was just getting into hard rock and heavy metal as a whole, it was about 14-ish, 15 maybe. No, I was 14. And it was before I even knew about anything, basically. I didn't even know who Whitesnake were. I didn't know about the songs Here I Go Again or any of those. So, I was listening to the radio. I was listening to classic rock radio because that's really the only good thing that came on back then. I was living in Minnesota back then, and Still the Night came on, and I just heard Coverdale's vocals wailing, and I kept hearing that song over and over again, and I kept trying to get it on record. I kept trying to record it, because back then I had this little rinky-dink 2 gig MP3 player, about that big, that could record off the radio. It could do radio recordings, but the thing is, I did not know what the song name was. So, I got about halfway through it, and then I'm like, because you had to actually keep the button held down in order to record it, so I got kind of tired of that, let go of the button, and, I got about half the song-ish, something like that. It's a long song, or at least long for my attention span as a 14-year-old, so I was listening to it, and I'm just like, this song kicks ass. I don't know what it is, what it's called, who it's by, but it's awesome. I later, of course, found out that it was Whitesnake. I actually got reacquainted with this song through this album, through, I believe it was Music Choice. So, huge shout out to the Music Choice channel on TV. If you have, cable or something, it's awesome. You can just pick whatever genre you want and watch, and it'll just play songs and give you little band facts, too. It's awesome. Anyways, this album, back to this album. I actually got this album. It's awesome. I saw it on tape, actually, on, little cassette tapes at Goodwill, I believe. I don't have the cassette version, though. I actually have the CD, but, yeah, it's awesome. It's a really good album, but there are some drawbacks, some gripes that I have with it, and that being, while this album does have really solid production, sometimes the overuse of effects, sometimes the overuse of, especially in the distortion and the echoing effect, kind of make it sound too sleek, too shiny, too mainstream. I'm not going to say too mainstream, but it's very prevalent, and sometimes it just echoes too much, and it doesn't really complement Coverdale's vocals as much when both of them are echoing. It just sounds too echoey, something like that, but it just sounds way too distorted, too echoey in some areas. Not all, not even in whole songs, but it's very prevalent. Another thing is the overuse of the word love. Give me all your love. Is this love? And looking for love. All basically ballads, except for maybe giving your love. But, yeah, okay, we get it. You want to talk about love, but do it in a more discreet way. That's my only thing. But I do really like the songs. I love the songs, but it's just love. See, there you go. There, that's what you did to me. But I do love the songs. But, that being said, it gets kind of overbearing a little bit to be hearing about that all the time. But then again, that's what this album is about, is love, sex, booze, drugs, rock and roll, basically. It's pretty much cliche 1980s, but it is a very good song, or a very good album. So, some highlights, Still the Night, for the reasons that I said prior to this. Really good song. longest song on the album, very dynamic, probably the most dynamic song on the album, with its wide range and use of instruments such as the keyboards, the violin, the synthesizers, and everything. It's just where it needs to be on this song. The structure of it is very sound. I really like the vocals, and all the effects are placed in a way that very much so complements David Coverdale's amazing vocal range. That's another thing on this album. Before this, he really didn't sing like high pitched vocals that much. Very falsetto-y, kind of like high up there, hitting the high notes. He didn't really go for it that much. All the other ones were kind of like bluesy up until this point. And this is what really captivated Whitesnake and launched them to the top. Was their Whitesnake 1987 debut, or self-titled anyways. I'm so used to saying self-titled debut. I made a mistake on my Devil Put Dinosaurs Here video. I said on their debut because I'm so used to saying self-titled debut. But I know it's on their self-titled. I put it in an annotation. So same with God is Dead. Like, I put things in annotations, but people still feel the need to comment and correct me. It's like, I already know it. I put it in the annotation. I keep getting off tangent. I'm not going to edit this or anything, but yeah. Anyways, awesome album. Here I Go Again is another one. Really good. Crying in the Rain, it's a remake. And Children of the Night, probably my second or third favorite song on the album. Really like how fast-paced it is. It's very heavy-hitting, and the guitars complement Coverdale's vocals pretty nicely, and really excellent use of effects. I was looking for a word. I was searching for a word, but my favorite part about it has got to be the solo. The solo and the riffs are just tight-knit and where they need to be on this album, on this song especially, but it is a very good song, really fast-paced, really good. The next one, of course, Here I Go Again, is another one, and another highlight I forgot to mention is actually You're Gonna Break My Heart Again. This is actually, going into this, I expected it to be a ballad, but it's not. It's a very sound song, really like it, and great way to close off the album. So, with all that said, I really like this album. I thoroughly enjoyed revisiting it because I haven't listened to it in a long time. So, thank you very much, Adam A. Really highly enjoyed it. I'm going to rate it a 9 out of 10. Really like it. Thank you very much. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Thanks for watching. Keep calm and rock on.